What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. To get today's video started off, I'm gonna be building something that I've been needing to build for a very, very long time. That's gonna help tremendously with making all of these car builds that we do better, much better. Now this right here, my friends, is it is a state-of-the-art Zinc station. Now let me show you guys why I built this. It is simply so we can turn something like this into something like this, or something like that. Zinc is the best way and pretty much the only way to make your hardware look new again. And I've actually had this kit laying around for quite a while, and I finally decided that it is time to put it all together. And the reason for it is because, let me show you. This whole box right here, this is all of the hardware for the transmission that we Cerakoted. That is all full of paint, and I don't feel like buying all replacement hardware. So I figured the best option is to just finally go ahead and set up our Zinc station. That's not even the best part. Let me show you guys the best part. Now we don't have a Zinc station. You guys probably remember this used to be my work table, and it still is my work table, but if we pop the lid off, underneath is our hardware refinishing station. Very, very excited to be able to do this here at my shop instead of dropping it off. Now I just need to figure out how to do it. My Zinc station is a little bit messy right now, but check this out. I got her dialed pretty nice. Let me show you guys a bolt, how it looks before. So this is just a rattle can bolt, and I'll take you guys through the process on how to go from this to that. Let's do this batch of 5 bolts. You can do a lot more, but for the sake of this little tutorial, let's do 5. Step 1 is we gotta get all of the crustiness off, all the paint, all the rust, all the BS. My choice is a sandblaster. You can wire wheel them, you can use Scotch-Brite, you can probably use something like a tumbler. I need to make an in-depth tutorial on this whole process when I actually get good at it. For now, I'm just doing what I can, and I'll perfect the process one of these days and make a tutorial for you guys. Here's how they look right out of the sandblaster. Now they look nice, but if we went and put these on the transmission right now, they last about maybe a day and they turn rusty. This here is a crock pot with degreaser, and it should be like 110 maybe degrees right now. She's at 143, which is fine. Like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. But anyways, we're gonna leave them in the degreaser pot for about 30 minutes. Make sure there's nothing whatsoever on those bolts before we go through the plating process. All right, let's go ahead and pull them out of the degrease tank. Try to get some of this off. And then we're gonna come straight to our freshwater tank. Go ahead, dunk them in there. Come over to our muriatic acid, and they're gonna go in here for about 5 seconds. Okay, same thing, spray them off. Try to keep all the stuff separated. Quick dunk back in the fresh water. And now they go into the Zinc bin. Okay. So we got it heated with our water heater. Our little pump is agitating the water. And now we can go ahead and turn on the power. Bam, like that. It's already set because I've been doing the same batch of hardware. So I know the voltage and amperage is all set, good to go. That's gonna stay in there for 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and then pull them out and we can move on to making them gold or yellow. It's called yellow, but they look gold. So it's been maybe 20 minutes and these things look perfect. So now to make them OEM yellow, go ahead and rinse that off real quick. Dunk them in the fresh tank, 2 to 3 seconds in muriatic acid. Okay, back in the fresh tank and into the yellow Zinc it goes. Let's make sure it's warm enough. I think it's gotta be at least 80. It's at 90.4. Should be good. About 30 seconds in here, and they'll come out looking OEM. I think I'm gonna make this tank a little bit bigger. This is a 3 gallon, it's a 5 gallon. I might just go to 5 gallon on all of them, if I'm being honest. There it is, about 10 seconds in. Starting to turn color. There we go. Looking very nice. Now this right here is the process I'm a little bit confused with, because it says in the manual to go ahead and wash it off, but then if you wash it off, all the yellow just comes off with it. And I noticed if you let them dry, the longer you let them dry, the harder that yellow becomes. So I'm pretty sure you're supposed to just let them dry like overnight. And I have heard of people using a heat gun. Just heat gun them real quick, and then it makes it dry faster, of course. Slowly but surely getting this process down better and better. So there's the first batch, second batch. First one's better than the second one. Second one's a little too dark on the yellow. And then the third and fourth is spot on. I have a few more sets of bolts to go ahead and hit, but I'm gonna go prep out this little lever right here. And if we can get this guy perfect, we have this giant one right there. But let's try the small one first. I'm just gonna do this by itself, and then we can try the big Mamba. The zinc turned out perfect. Let's go ahead and, oh geez. Those were in there for like 30 minutes. Slightly too yellow. This here is what we ended up with on the biggest piece we did, and here are all the other pieces. Nice little zoom in effect. They didn't turn out perfect, but for my first time ever zinc plating, they turned out really nice. Very excited. If we go ahead and take a little piece, this is how it's gonna look on our trans. That is gonna look freaking amazing. Here we have all of the parts for the transmission, besides of course the gear stacks. And you might be able to tell, but these are recoated. I am very picky sometimes, and I did not like how the Cerakote turned out. It's not a Cerakote problem, it's a me problem. So I ended up sandblasting the Cerakote off and powder coating the cases. Cerakote's very picky, kind of like paint. Powder coat is quite a bit less picky to make an absolute beautiful finish out of. And I narrowed down our problem with the Cerakote as to why I was getting the dry spray. And the reason for it is because I'm forced to spray it outside, and it's like 90 degrees outside right now. If we were able to spray it in the shop, that would be ideal, or some sort of booth, that would be even more ideal. But of course, to pull all the cars out of here just to spray some Cerakote isn't really worth it to me. And as you can see, the powder coat looks absolutely beautiful as well. I did, of course, go ahead and mask off all the threads and all that, but those are all good to go. Now let's move on to the gears. Here is the first gear set and the second one. Now we just have to press these things back together. Replaced gears are on. You can see the new third there, new third there. Let's get them all pressed up and we can assemble the trans. Let's go ahead and slap in all the bearings and all the shims and whatnot. The seals I am gonna replace. I don't have any in yet, but as soon as they come in, we can go and get those guys replaced. The shafts and the diff are in. Now the hard part for me is always trying to get all the shift forks on. For some reason, it's always a little bit difficult. Just going through and making sure everything's clean beforehand. Ain't nothing broken, good. Just did a quick assembly with no sealant and ran it through the gears, made sure everything was good to go. Now we can pull back apart, seal it up, and we should be done. The transmission is all finished up, and here's how it turned out. Only thing we need is that seal there and the seal on that side. Other than that, it's 100%. She shifts through all the gears just fine. I did go through and pick off most of the excess sealant besides the stuff that's still a little bit wet. So as soon as all that dries, I'm gonna finish picking off the sealant. The only problem with doing one part very, very nice, like the transmission, is I feel like now I have to go through and make every other little part that same level of perfection. Of course, we need to do something with the T-case. Our engine, it looks decent, but of course it could look a whole lot better. And then the bay itself is pretty crusty. But for now, we'll just leave it as just the trans, and we need to move on to something that's a little bit more important. Of course, the trans is important, but there's something else that's even more important that we need to do before we put the motor and the transmission back in the car. And that is installing whatever's in the box. A new wiring harness. Hopefully this isn't a super big ordeal, but I guess we shall see. So anything past this grommet right here goes into the bay, and anything past this grommet goes into the bay. So that side is only 2 wires. Very, very simple. And where's the ABS plug? There she is. This side is a little bit more intricate. Still, probably not the biggest deal in the world. That would suck if we had to pull the dash though. So I don't want to do that. 30 minutes later, and a couple cuss words and some bloody hands. And we have everything disconnected from under the dash. Could have been worse. Now I learned my lesson. Not cut 40 wires at once. That's why we're replacing the harness. A couple of videos ago, we did the ABS pump relocation from right here to down here. And I went to extend the harness and ruined it. Old harness is pulled out of the car before we slap in the new harness. I am gonna go ahead and extend it outside the car. Should make life a little bit easier doing it on the table. I thought this project wasn't gonna take any time at all with the harness out of the car, but it is like 4 or 5 hours later. There's so many wires on this ABS plug-in, as you can see. There's a shit ton, all right? Took forever, but one by one, we got it done. I still need to lube it up, but it is damn late, and I'm gonna call it a night. This was the last thing we needed to do before we could get the motor and trans officially 100% done and in the car. So tomorrow we should be able to lube this thing up, get it in the car, get the motor and trans back in the car. And then I'm hoping we get some parts in the mail. All the drivetrain stuff can be finished up. Axles, driveline, hubs, all that good stuff. And then it's on to wiring. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out, my friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.